So today we logged on to Gran Turismo 7 to get introduced to the brand new daily race, and that was a race around Monza. Now it wasn't just any race, this was actually one of the awesomest races because we get to drive this beast right here. Now this is a 1965 Honda single-seater, and boy is this car a lot of fun and a handful to drive. Now this was a lap that was done with one of the top ranking drivers. You can see how he took turn number 1, but now you're gonna see it in the hands of an amateur here as we start off this very first race. No qualifying in P10, so we get our 3-2-1 and away we go as we make our way down to the line. Standing start, usually a great idea here around Monza because no carnage ends up happening, especially on a standing start of Monza. But heading into turn number 1 for the very first time, we brake as early as we can to avoid making contact with the cars up ahead, but unfortunately up front a little bit of contact is made between two cars, but everybody was able to make it through cleanly, or as clean as they could, and nobody got sent to the shadow room, which was very shocking. So I'm very pleased to see that everybody is practicing their safe racing, and we were able to continue on without any incidents. Now who knows if it's gonna be the same here heading into the second chicane as we brake as late as we can. Almost make contact with Hammer Saw. Actually do make a little bit of slight contact, but nothing too crazy where it bent him out of shape, and unfortunately we do lose a position to Speed Racers. We got a really good run on him before the second chicane. But as we make our way now to Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, we took a little sneaky peek onto the inside, but just gonna make the move done here. And coming out of Lesmo 2, we get a really great run. Accidentally just abused the rear of Speed Racer. I was trying to give him a bump to try to push him up, and just did not time that correctly. So apologies on my end, Speed Racer. Luckily he was able to get it woed out and keep it straight. But as we head into Ascari, just things did not pan out for Speed Racer or us to get hit from behind. Kind of karma for what we did to Speed Racer a little bit early in their lap. But yeah, coming out of Ascari, Speed Racer runs a bit wide, and luckily he was able to keep it together as he did have a little bit of practice with getting squirrely after we punted him, but he was able to keep it ahead of us. But into Parabolica, loses the back end, runs into us. We basically saved his life there, so a little bit of a kind gesture there, especially because we almost took him out a little bit earlier in the lap. But let's make our way now down to the line. We gained 1 position since the start, and we are now in P9 as we make our way once again down the long straight, making our way into the first chicane. So side by side right ahead of us for P7. Both of them just go a tad bit wide, and Gran Turismo decided to basically ghost them because they thought they both were going to go wide and spin out. And lucky for us, we take full advantage of that glitch, I guess if you can call it a glitch, and we were able to get in between or inside of Riptom, get into the inside of Speed Racer. And now we try to make our way now into the second chicane as we go side by side with Speed Racer, and some guy gets restarted in the middle of the track. Didn't know who that was, but we gain 1 free position as we make our way now out of the second chicane. We go onto the inside of Speed Racer, get a really great run, and there we go, P Steve after starting off the lap in P9. And now we make our way now into Lesmo 2 and try to catch up to these two up ahead that are fighting for P4. So not too shabby of a start of a lap for the second one, and we really needed to be aggressive here, especially because this is a very short race. It's not a long 10-15 lap race. It's only a 5-lap race, so you have to make as many positions as you can and just be very aggressive. If you see a gap, basically have to go for it, and sometimes it can lead to a lot of trouble, as unfortunately 5th place up ahead of Henram takes the curbs a bit too aggressively, loses the back end, spins out coming out of Ascari, and that's going to be free position for us now as we make our way on to lap number 3. So lap number 3 here, we caught up to basically the podium runners of the top, I guess you could say, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And as we make our way out of the first chicane, 2nd place gets a half a second penalty, and that's going to be very beneficial for us because once we get to the penalty zone, if we could stay right behind Hammersaw, which is the guy with the half a second penalty, we can potentially get enough momentum coming off of Ascari where the penalty zone is at, and we can easily get an overtake done on him, get the position, and that'll be a free spot or entrance into the podium. But things don't go according to plan for anyone. as unfortunately he makes contact with the rear of Hammersaw, loses all of his momentum before heading to Lesmo 1, and all that preparation for the overtake on his Hammersaw and using his half-a-second penalty goes out the window. So we just get the easy move done on anyone after losing so much momentum. Now we find our way up into P4, battling here for the podium position. So all we have to do is stay right behind Hammersaw. So I guess the plan really isn't out of the question here. We just got to stay behind him, not make any mistakes, and we should be all right as we get a little tap from behind from anyone. But we were able to keep it on the track, but Hammersaw loses a little bit of the back end on Ascari. He spins, or not spins out, but loses the rear, almost runs into us, and somehow we were able to get right in between the gap between him and the curb, and we now find ourselves into P3. But it wasn't long-lived here, as anyone was able to get a really great run off of Ascari due to the fact that we lost so much momentum avoiding the spinning, or I guess the loose Hammersaw. And as we make our way now out of Parabolica, we get into the slip of anyone to avoid losing another position. And this is basically going to be the battle for podium, as TNT right behind us is right on our tail as well. So getting into the first chicane, we spot our braking point, and you can see right behind us someone ended up spinning out, and I believe it was TNT Riptide, or someone was behind us that spun out. So rewinding here, you can see that it was very close. Got onto the brakes, then got onto the grass, or just tried avoiding making contact with us. Went straight into the wall, and the 3-car battle that was for P3 now turned into a 2-car battle. And as we make our way now into the end of lap number 4, all we did was just stay in front of anyone and try to catch up to the top 2 runners, as Julian has caught up to Yves up ahead, and they were starting to battle with each other. So this can turn into a really great finish for us here. We could potentially go for a win if these two up ahead end up destroying each other. And as we make our way into the first chicane, I started getting a bit too eager with my braking zone, as I braked a tad bit later than usual. And unfortunately, it was a big mistake on my end, as we almost lost the rear, almost went wide, and we lost a lot of time due to that simple mistake there, as we got a little bit too eager trying to catch up to the top 2. So coming down into second chicane out of Curva Grande, we get a little peek on the inside by anyone. He goes for the overtake. Just let him go right there, because we didn't want to accidentally get bumped out. And as we come out of the chicane, we get a really great run now down into Lesmo 1. Keep it onto the inside. Try to see if we can hold our position. But anyone gets a really great run through the corner, and he was able to hold off that P3 now as we head into Lesmo 2. Really good side-by-side racing. This is what you want to see when you're racing against someone here. And as we make our way now down the straight to leading us into Ascari, we see that the top 2 have just ran away with this. So it's basically going to be the battle for podium here. And as we make our way into Ascari, we break right before the 100-meter board. Anyone breaks a tad bit later than us, but we kind of wanted to do that so that we can go single file, try to get into the slip here before Parabolica, and maybe just get a slingshot around him here before we reach the final corner. So in the slipstream now of anyone, it's got to be here if we're going to make the move for P3. We go onto the outside to try to maximize the potential into the corner, and as we make our way onto the inside, unfortunately we get a really great run, but we had to release some of the throttle. If not, we would have made contact with the back of anyone. And as we make our way now down to the line, it's going to be a drag race, but unfortunately we just did not have enough beans, and we lose P3 by 1/10 of a second. So on our way now on to the second race, we see here if we can try to get a better finish on our second attempt. And the exact same spot where we started off in the last race, P10. No qualifying. You can see a couple of familiar faces from the race prior. And as we make our way now into turn number 1, you can see that unlike the last race, there's a little bit of contact that happens up ahead. Someone goes straight into the barrier. Another person goes into the rear of the yellow single seater up ahead. And a lot of havoc is starting to happen here as we now make our way up into P7 after just one chicane. And as we make our way now to Curva Grande, we're keeping onto the inside of Henrem. Side by side now as we make our way down in to the second chicane. We're going to spot our braking point, make sure that we don't make contact with the rear Hammersaws. That's very easy to do. As we make our way into the second chicane, you can see things start unfolding here as a couple of cars lose the back end, just go a tad bit too aggressive into the corner. And just like that, not even half a lap into the race, we have made our way from P10 up to P3. But unfortunately, we get a little bit too eager on the throttle coming out of Lesmo 1, and we go a tad bit wide. But things are still unfolding here as we come out of Lesmo 2, and we get a really bad run. So as we make our way now down the straight to the Scar chicane for the first time, you can see it's basically a 5-car battle for this P3, and we're gonna hold our way on the inside, try to defend the inside into the corner so that we can get a really great run on the exit, and everything goes according to plan as we're able to just kind of squeeze our way out and keep our foot in it. But coming off of the Scar, we just had a bit too much speed, and we go a tad bit wide, but luckily it didn't cost us too much time as we were able to just hold it straight, and we were able to keep our P3. But as we make our way now to the first chicane, you can see this still, it's a 4-car battle for this P3. Fortunately, one car braked a bit too late, almost took us out, but we were able to avoid him. And due to that mistake right there, it actually slowed down the other 2 drivers right behind us, and that allowed us to build a little gap here away from P4, as we now extended from basically 0.2 of a second to almost a full second. So we make our way into the second chicane just a bit early on the brake. At least I felt like it was a bit too early on the brakes. We were able to get a really decent exit, and we were able to maintain our 3rd place position. But as we make our way now to P3, you can see that although I thought it was a very slow start to the lap, we were able to get one of the fastest lap of the race. And now we are just trying to catch up to P2 and P1 as we have a speeding 4th place driver right behind us. But making our way now into the Scar chicane once again, coming off the corner, things get a bit lucky for us here as P2 of PMCO up ahead lost the rear, and so did the car behind us of Star 57 Daily. Both lost the rear at the exact same point, and we were able to gain on PMCO, but not only that, lose Star 57 Daily due to that crucial mistake. And now we are in the battle for P2 with nobody behind us, and all we have to do here is just focus on trying to overtake the Brazilian up ahead. So let's make our way down to the straight, look down to the inside here. It's going to be side by side as we make our way into the first chicane. 2 laps to go. Can we get the overtake done and try to catch up to the P1 as he's only 3.5 seconds up ahead? Trying to outbrake PMCO here into turn number 1. You can see that we brake very early to, or very late, and so does PMCO as well, but we just braked a tad bit earlier than him, able to make the corner without losing too much speed. And due to PMCO just going just a tad bit too aggressive on the braking, went a bit wide, lost momentum, and we were able to get the switcheroo done and get the overtake done on PMCO here as we make our way now into turn number 4. So getting our way off of the chicane here, we try to pull away from PMCO and just basically avoid making any mistakes, because if we could basically get away from him and get that, build up that 3/4 of a second, it'll be a lot easier for us to maintain our 2nd position, and then we could just focus on trying to crawl back to P1 of Barco. And so far it seems like everything's working properly, but while everything was working properly, unfortunately we go into the Scar chicane just a bit too narrow, and we make contact with the sausage curb. Now, making contact with the sausage curb with this car is just absolutely detrimental, because it just basically disrupts the springs, and the car just gets really high off the ground, and it's very difficult to save. As you saw with us, that it was almost like we basically got tapped from the rear and we went straight into the wall. And just because of that simple mistake, we lost P2 to PMCO, and we're gonna have to most likely set up for a P3 as long as we don't make any other mistakes here. As you can see, we run a bit wide coming out of Lesmo 1. So making our way now forward on this final lap, we get into Parabolica, and luckily for us, we were able to survive the rest of the lap. And as we make our way now down to the line, what could have been a possible P2 on this race, it's gonna turn into a P3. At least we finish on the podium, get a little bit of happiness here at the end, just swerving the car left and right. and we were able to finish this race in P3 after starting in P10. So not too shabby of a race here, but again, these cars were just so much fun, especially around Monza. It just brought out a lot of craziness, and due to the fact that it was a grid start as well, it just brought in that excitement into the race, and I just was really excited to do a lot of these races throughout the week. But let me know how you guys did with this race. Let me know what you guys thought about the car in general in the comments down below, and if you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to help out the channel by hitting that subscribe button or that like button down below. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace.